Hey everyone, and welcome to Comic Breakdown. And today, we're going to be getting into more Marvel comics. The next couple videos, we're going to be covering Wolverine, Captain Marvel, and X-Men's Excalibur. But for this video, we're going to cover Wolverine issue number 9. Now in our last issue, we left off with Wolverine investigating some weird stuff going on, because there was a group of mercenaries known as the Mercs. They infiltrated a government black site, targeting specifically the records of Team X. Now, most people are familiar with Team X, but for those that are not, Team X was a former Black Ops unit, pretty much comprising of Wolverine, Sabretooth Maverick, Mastodon, and a few others. And so Wolverine goes to investigate exactly what's going on here. And with that being said, let's dive into this issue. Alright, so picking up with this issue, we pick up some years prior, and Team X is out on a mission. And as the mission's coming to an end, Wolverine and Maverick are sitting here, and they're literally watching Sabretooth give in to his savagery, and literally just murdering everybody that's inside of this building. And Wolverine says, something shifted in that moment. They weren't just weapons, they were men. And because of their glitch in their programming or their realignment or moral compass, whatever the case may be, it could be a simple recognition of evil. But at the end of the day, who is he to judge anybody? Because at the end of the day, Wolverine's no better than Sabretooth murdering all of these people. They were all the same. Their minds polished blank, and their reflexes honed to a keen edge. Team X made sure of this. A bullet doesn't have a brain. A weapon doesn't have a heart. So wiping their minds is the best course of action when you're dealing with someone like Team X, because their only thought is of the mission all the time. And if they're ever captured, you can't interrogate somebody that doesn't know something. Plausible deniability at its fullest. And they were all weapons until Maverick and Wolverine chose not to be. Though Professor Thornton had tried to keep them clean and their minds frequently swiped, ensuring their obedience. Whatever the case may be, a coup, assassination, a drug shipment, they needed to stay focused on the task at hand. The biggest issue arising was that their brains would heal about after a week, so they were constantly having to have their memories swiped, because the old memories would just resurface with the brain healing itself. And after that night, after the night of watching Sabretooth literally massacre all of these people, him and Maverick made a pact that they would never be the same as Sabretooth. Never again. And they would escape Team X. And so these two developed a kind of a phrase, a device, borrowed from a book. And the phrase is, "Today is a victory over yourself of yesterday." And it was meant to bring them back, to anchor them to the present, to help them recognize the loss of a thousand yesterdays, and a way to find their way back from indoctrination. And this is where we pick up in present day. And Wolverine's going to what looks like a back alley silent auction. And after they do a full pat down of him and all that good stuff, they take him into an elevator that brings him underground. And they let him know the rules of this auction. Every auction house is a business selling ghosts, more or less. Whatever it may be. From a guitar of Hank Williams to a sword carried at the charge of Gettysburg. For most everybody, there's some kind of value in history, but not for Wolverine, because he doesn't really have a past. There's still so much that he doesn't remember. And that's one reason he's real fond on Krakoa. It's a place where you can leave things behind. It's a new start, especially for individuals like him. And so Wolverine orders a drink and looks around the room, and we see a bunch of familiar faces, to include Fisk. But this is when someone taps the microphone, and we get a rundown of exactly what's going to be auctioned off here. And so as they go through all of this, we find that they're auctioning off the cyanide tooth of Black Widow, a prison painting by Jigsaw, a goblin glider, the cowl of Captain America, which was frozen with him after World War II, the gloves of Magnet Man, and the gravestone of Spider-Man. But that is not all either. There's still some really interesting things. One of them being the severed hand of Wolverine. And this immediately throws Wolverine off, because he has no idea. he doesn't remember this. And that's the problem with having a broken brain like his. Whole sections of time can be rearranged or carved away or even planted. So some things he doesn't remember, and things that he might remember may never have actually happened. Even when he thinks he finds his way back to clarity, he has to reevaluate things again. And this is when we see the big auction item, the one and only mutant known as Maverick. And the bids start going up like crazy. And the auctioneer lets us know that his mind has been swiped. So he's a clean slate and he's a perfect weapon. And they bring one of these tough guys on stage to prove exactly how strong he is, how tough he is. And we see Maverick handle this guy like it is nothing. But not only are they selling a weapon, they're also selling a key, because any mutant is a key to unlocking Krakoan gateways. And this is when the auctioneer has someone come up and whisper in his ear, and then he announces that they have a special guest. And that special guest is Wolverine. And we see Wolverine pull out his claws and start laying waste to guards, only for the auctioneer to grab Magnet Man's gloves and control Wolverine. And then we get kicked back to a few years ago at a Team X Black site where they're wiping their minds. And he can hear Maverick in the cell next to him, telling him what his name is, and telling him, today is a victory over yourself of yesterday, and repeating this over and over. And this is where Wolverine tells Maverick exactly that. He tells him, today is a victory over yourself of yesterday, and he repeats it and tells Maverick that he needs to listen, that he needs to remember who he is. And this is when it clicks. And Maverick pulls the pistol from his holster and tells Wolverine, I don't know who you are, but we're getting the heck out of here. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think. Personally, I freaking loved it. This was such a good issue. And I always loved really diving into the psyche of Wolverine. You know, he's the combat veteran of comic books. He understands PTSD. Those that write him understand PTSD on a very almost personal level, it would seem. Or at least they know how to write Wolverine's PTSD so well. It's just done so good. And we have Maverick showing up, which is going to be phenomenal. So we're going to have a Wolverine Maverick team up, which I am super, super excited for. All in all, though, I have to say this was a really good issue. There was lots of detail. I don't feel like it was too short, and it really kept you entertained the entire time. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, go ahead and check out my Patreon. It's down in the description. It's a way for you to support the channel, help me cover some of these comics. Got a bunch of Patreon exclusive merch and stuff like that, so be sure to check that out. As well as my podcast, Comic Breakdown and More Podcasts, available on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We drop new episodes every Friday covering everything from the comic books we cover on this channel with a more in-depth discussion to things like WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier that's going to be coming out here soon. And one last thing before we go, if you live in the Medford, Oregon area, please do me a favor and go check out Rogue City Comics. I partnered up with them so we could get more people within the comic stores at the brick and mortar, helping support that kind of industry and the small businesses. And until the next video,